All right, so today is October 1st, 2024, and we are talking about Rutherford County Schools' journey towards Intune. So we have our own Matthew Brown here to present today. But before we get into that, just a few announcements. Next session on October 15th, we will have Liz Cox, who is on the Intune PM team. She is going to be talking about the new device inventory feature that's coming out. She actually did an AMA this morning. We're going to link to it in just a second. So if you want to watch that session ahead of her coming on EDU Endpoint office hours, it'd be a great way to answer a lot of the basic questions that you probably have, and then come with more strategic EDU focused questions for her next week. And then October 29th, we're going to have a fun Halloween themed episode. We did that last year, which was more like a trivia game, and I think we got a lot of good feedback from that. So if that's something you want to do again, let me know. And then I added November 12th, and I meant to put something there, but the team will actually be together in Redmond that day. So we're hoping that we could do a special live event with you all, and hopefully we'll have something planned that's a little different and unique. I know we'll all be together for once, and we're at the mothership, so maybe we'll see if we can get a special guest or two in for that one. That might be fun. So, with that being said, let's continue on. Richard, feel free to chime in here. You always have extra things to say. That's usually a value.
Usually.
So usually. We did have a couple of announcements this morning around Windows 11 24H2. It is GA. You can go to VLSC and download this. You can do the ISOs. Richard just confirmed FFUs now support 24H2, which, of course, he's already tried that out. So you can actually go download this today. It's being delivered through Windows Updates. It's also now in Intune as a feature update. So you can now go and enforce specific devices to go update. It's like 0-day support for a Windows build, which is awesome to see again. And remember those feature update policies if you have those in place. If you switch that from 23H2 to 24H2, the devices that you're targeting will be updated, but then it kind of lives at that baseline and it won't continue to update to the next build until you flip that switch. So if you are using feature update policies, if you're on 23H2 today, no devices should update to 24H2 until you flip that switch. But lots of good stuff. I don't know, Richard, do you want to talk anything about specific highlights that you think of? I know that there was a big one with Laps in there for managing local account passwords, or for actual built-in local administrator accounts previously, better management for those accounts if you're taking advantage of Laps. But anything specifically you want to call out that's not AI related? We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, I think the big thing to be aware of is that we've been on this enablement package cadence for a while. This is not an enablement package. This is a full OS swap. So it's a big release. So when you're going to upgrade devices, like your users there's going to be some downtime for them, just like the previous full OS swaps that we've had. So they'll have to reboot. There'll be some time for them to install Windows, and so it's going to take a little longer to deploy 24H2 than 23H2. So just be aware of that. I know a lot of you guys are still probably on Windows 10. Just know that it's now October 2024. October 2025 is coming real quick, and you'll need to make sure to have a plan in place to go from Windows 10 to Windows 11. And we'll have a session, I think, in between now and the end of the year, and maybe even in the spring, to just kind of reiterate methods of moving from Windows 10 to Windows 11, and then also how we also have offers for extended security updates for EDU, which are heavily discounted compared to commercial. So we'll talk about some of that stuff as well. But just know that this is a big update. It's not a small EKB like we're used to. It's much larger.
Yeah, Great call out, Richard. And then yeah, I'm seeing some chat that it's not available in VLSC yet. I thought I saw it, so I know for sure.
If you're not seeing it there yet, give it some time.
Yeah,
That's where it will be.
yeah.
I can definitely tell you the media creation tool has it because FFU has it. I didn't have to make any code changes.
MSDN has it as well.
Yeah, MSDN has it too. So you shouldn't have to. If you're using FFUs today, there's no code changes that are necessary. So the current build that's out there, you can build your FFUs from it if you want. I know that works.
Yeah. Of course, there's a lot of new features coming to as well for the Copilot Plus PC. So if you're not familiar with that, that is kind of our new branded AI PCs that have a dedicated NPU on the device. And typically it's an ARM processor as well. And so there's some new AI features coming out specifically around things like recall. So you can see there's a link there. By the way, all the links that you see on the screen, you can click these and kind of bookmark them or save them. We'll post these in the LinkedIn group as well after the recording. But you can see that there's an update on the security and privacy architecture related to recall. There was lots of questions around that. So that's a good blog to kind of read up on. But we are bringing that recall capability as well as some AI features to the Paint app and the Photos app, making it more like our editing capabilities more robust, so generative fill and things like that, which is exciting to see. We're also seeing a lot of improvements with the Windows Studio effects and accessibility as well, which is great for education customers. Of course, there is a blog specifically around the security components, or it's not a blog, it's an actual document. There's a support article around that. So that second link there should detail all of the security improvements around things like labs. And there's a new feature called personal disk encryption, which is similar to BitLocker. You'll actually see this now in Intune as well. It's part of the 2409 release. But that personal disk encryption allows you to securely protect specific folders within the disk. So some interesting new capabilities around Windows there. We also have the Windows 11 LTSC release, which has been widely requested for a lot of customers. We've been kind of stuck on the Windows 10 LTSC for a while now, and we finally have Windows 11 LTSC. So that link is there. And then similarly, Office LTSC, I threw that. It's not really specific to Windows, but Office LTSC 2024 is also available. Okay, moving right along. Intune 2409 release.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to call out one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before you moved off Windows, I also wanted to put in there, it's not one of the posts today, but I put a link in the chat. One of the big changes you're going to notice is a revamped Copilot experience in Windows 11 24H2. Today, what you'll notice is there is a preview tag that is down in the lower right-hand sys tray. That is completely changed. So I put a link to the article. You'll notice that when you're signed in with Entra ID, that is normally that Copilot data is protected with commercial data protection. That has been enhanced with what's called enterprise data protection. So there's a few more things. So it covers a lot more in your Microsoft 365 privacy agreements. Read through the doc. There's a lot of changes about how the Copilot experience is going to be delivered. And we'll obviously have a deeper dive on this probably on a future office hours, but want to bring that. I thought that was really important to bring out. So
yeah, I actually missed that. So thanks, Scott. I saw that we had a new Copilot experience, but I didn't know that it was inside of Windows, but that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'll add that link as well to the list here for when we publish it. Awesome. So we did have the Intune 2409 release just last week. The biggest thing that I am looking at and excited about is that for our Intune Suite customers, the enterprise app management capabilities, we now have guided supersedence in the portal. And so what this effectively means is that for those third-party apps that you package up using the catalog type, if you will, within the Intune portal, now we'll be able to at least alert you of new updates for those third-party apps, and then you can go build what we are calling the guided supersedence experience. So it'll effectively help you streamline your app building. So you can say, hey, 7-Zip has a new app available. I can go build that new app really quickly, and we're going to supersede that for you so that you can deploy that out and patch those third-party applications. That part, even though it is lit up, it's still rolling out, I think, because I still am missing the icon in my tenant as of like 3 hours ago when I checked. But it's all documented pretty well as what the experience is going to look like. Essentially on the apps pane on the overview tab, you'll actually see a new little box next to the deployment status of those applications. And you can then walk through that wizard. So I'm excited about that. That's probably the biggest piece in there, but Intune or Richard or Scott, anything else you want to call out specifically around 2409?
If you're buying Sony Vaio devices, you can manage them with DFCI now. I haven't used a Sony Vaio laptop in probably 15 years, so I don't even know they're making. I'm assuming this is Sony because it says Vaio. So
yeah, it's just Vaio.
Unless the brand was sold to some other company. I haven't seen one of those devices in forever.
Yeah, but hey, if you're using DFCI, you've got some Vaio devices then.
And then we also added a new disk encryption template for personal data encryption. So as Garrett was mentioning earlier, we've included PDE in 24H2, but it's also actually in Windows 11 22H2 or later. But now there's a template type within Intune that you can deploy similar to BitLocker. And the way that these things work is that BitLocker is your full disk encryption, whereas PDE encrypts your personal data. It's personal data encryption. So you can now control that through Intune.
So things like documents, pictures, right? It's just the data itself.
Right.
You can define specific folders and files.
Right. And also developers, if they're developing an app that has user data, they can interact with the PDE APIs to encrypt that data. And so it gives app developers interesting ways to collect data or use your data. You'll save data within their app, and then they can encrypt it if necessary. So it's a very, very interesting feature that we've had encryption for a while within Windows, but this kind of takes it to another level.
Awesome. We also are expanding our OEM integration in the partner portal. So if you're a Dell shop, we are adding the ability to connect to their management platforms. So similar to what we've had in there for HP and others. So that's been expanded. I threw a link in here because today was a tech community live session with the Intune product group. And if you're not familiar with Tech Community Live, it's run by our communications and marketing teams, but the Tech Community blogs, like most of the content that we reference here is part of the Tech Community blogs, but they'll do like live AMAs with the product groups. And so today they had 4 sessions with the product group. So that link will actually take you to all the recordings if you missed that by chance. Great opportunities to listen in to what the Intune product group is saying about just future roadmap and kind of where the product is going. Get some good answers from the community. They had a chance where you could like ask questions, and the PM team did a really good job with some of those. So again, Liz Cox was one of the ones presenting today on device inventory. So there's a session there. There's also a security dedicated one. So just a great opportunity to go listen in on that. I know last time we met, we talked about the changes to the Windows enrollment. So actually being able to get quality updates during the out-of-box experience when we are enrolling new devices. And some people were excited about that, other people weren't. It turns out that largely most IT administrators want a toggle. They want to be able to control whether we want those quality updates on or off. And so due to that feedback, we are actually pausing this rollout. So this capability is being paused, hopefully to get those controls in place that will make sense for most organizations and allow you to decide whether you want that or not. So I know we talked about it last time, kind of informed you that, hey, this is coming, but we're backtracking a little bit just based on community feedback that we're going to pause that. So make sure you're aware of that. Richard, do you want to add anything there, Scott?
Not much to add. I mean, we just have
Yep.
to make sure we're doing the right thing, so we're not adding a whole bunch of time to people's autopilot deployments.
And then for those of you who are Apple fans or managing Apple devices in your districts or institutions, we do have 0-day support for iOS and iPadOS 18, which was released last week or the week before last. So we've had that, and then we also have support in device configuration profiles around Apple Intelligence. So some of their AI capabilities built in there. I just hats off to our Apple team for working so closely with Apple themselves to get those policies integrated into Intune in a very timely manner. I think, especially before we introduce even more generative AI capabilities to students. So you do have the capability to control that. So that's great to see. And then the last thing that I wanted to throw out there was a really in-depth blog on Windows for MAM. We've had the PM team actually come in and do demos for MAM on Windows, which is predominantly inside of Microsoft Edge. So I highly encourage those who missed that to go back to our YouTube channel and watch that deep dive there. But that is a really great blog just detailing what our best practices are for managing MAM on Windows. And then last but not least, just wanted to call out one more time because it is October. So now you are in, whoops, I'm not sharing there. It is October. So we are going to start enforcing that MFA into the Azure Portal, Intra, and Intune admin centers in about 2 weeks. So don't be surprised if you get a notification with that. All right. With that, Matt, if you are ready, we are going to turn it over to you. And if you don't know Matt, Matt is a senior level technology support specialist at RCS, or Rutherford County Schools. I've actually known Matt for quite a number of years now, helping you with your Intune journey. So it's super awesome to have you join us. He is brilliant, first off, just one of the best guys that I actually know. In this space. I mean, you're killing it out there. And so you're also, I mean, some fun facts about you, right? Like, I know you're a huge Disney fan, right? Like, you travel to Disney World a lot, I think.
Yeah,
we've
yes,
done this.
multiple times. Next week will be week 5, my 5th trip this year.
A 5th trip this year.
Yeah.
So we always joke about that. But anyways, enough of that. I will pass it to you to talk about your journey to Intune. And I know Richard and I are probably going to add some commentary or ask you some questions along the way, but you are marked as a presenter. So if you want to share anything, feel free to do so. And
Awesome.
welcome.
Thanks, guys. All right, so I'm going to share this screen. And so what you're going to notice is this is real basic. I didn't want to do this giant PowerPoint because I didn't want to really talk about slides. I just really wanted to have a conversation about our Intune journey. And so we'll just step through. But right here, you guys, here's my email address. And then if someone wants to throw it in chat, if your district has questions, if you're like, man, I can't get that last little buy-in, we've had someone talk and they want someone who's actually gone through the Intune story, because by the end of this school year, we should be 100% Intune managed devices, and we'll get into that later. But if you need a hand, just someone else to talk to, kind of like that other peer, shoot me an email. I'm always glad to talk. So with that, and like I said, gonna kind of keep it light. Oh, important thing, it's the spooky month, right? It's October. So I am in a school. I'm actually in an abandoned building beside a school. So we built a school beside this school, but we had to leave this building standing. So I'm in this building supposedly by myself, and it is pretty awful, but we forgot to turn off the wireless network and everything. So it's a great place to be. But if someone shows up behind me or through the room or some spooky person, that's why I've left the filter off, so we can all enjoy my panic as we see what goes down, because this is also in a rough neighborhood. So this could get some quality, YouTube views here. It may be my last moments. All right. So Rutherford County Schools is where I am. We're outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And just trying to give you some rough info about the school. We're a pre-K through 12 public education. We have 50 physical sites. We added a virtual school very fortuitously in 2019. It blew up the following year, as you can imagine, and was very popular. We have about 51,000 students. We grow about 1,000 to 1,300 students every year, and we have approximately 7,000 employees. So with all that, I have one amazing manager who is always very supportive. I'm one of the 9 senior techs. We have 18 school techs, a couple of shop techs, and we do actually all of our own work, our own cabling and everything. That's actually a large part of how I got started. I was a cabling tech, and I've, over the years worked my way up. I have been with Rutherford County Schools for 23 years. And kind of the last piece, which we'll talk about, is about 15 years ago, I was put in charge of devices. And at that point, we were still actually transitioning off of Novell and a product called ZenWorks and Zen Imaging. And we migrated to MDT, we moved to SCCM, and now we're here at Intune. So I've gone to go through several transitions while I've been doing this. And you're seeing the pros and cons of each. But I got to tell you why I was excited when they said, hey, we're looking for people to talk about it. I love this product. Intune works so well for me. It's one of those things like, when you find your niche, you find your connection. For me, that was Intune. Like, there's work and there's playing, and I like playing in here. There are times I will go home, and if I've got nothing going on, I will actually kind of tinker inside of the console, think of something, try to have this next build, or what can we do to make things better for our staff and students. So, we just keep playing. And of course, you guys are welcome, post questions, and we'll try to loop back in. But the big question for Rutherford County is why Intune? So, and that really started with the advent of low-cost devices. So these low-cost laptops started showing up. And when I mean low-cost laptops, I also mean low-powered laptops, like 4 gigs of RAM, Celeron processor. They even started with 32 gigs of storage, and that was it. And so we would take a traditional or like master gold built SCCM image and put them on there, and these machines were awful. Like, you signed into it, it may take 5 minutes for that first login. It may take longer. And when class time's important, this made these devices pretty unusable. At the same time, interestingly enough, a team from Microsoft came down and said, we would like you to test this new little platform called Setup School PC. And so they brought a few devices with us and said, what do you think? Here it is. It's all on a package on a drive. And the first thing that really spoke to us was like, man, this is a really fast login. So, and we liked that, because that was like, again, you may get that feedback or not, but one of the big things that we always heard was, it's just so slow to log into these computers. Kids aren't going to the computer labs. We're not having students rotate into center because they don't enjoy, startup times, things like that, especially on a low-powered device. So when we saw what Intune could do through Setup School PC, we started to rethink what it is that we wanted our student computers to do. Again, I have an awesome supervisor. He gave me a lot of time at my desk just to start tinkering and playing and gutting and trying to figure it out. So with that, I brought that in and I said, here's what this looks like with our traditional SCCM image. Here's what this looks like with Intune management. And this is also about the exact time I met Garrett. Garrett was my support person. You have an awesome job title. I couldn't remember at that time. Sorry, Garrett. And so he was encouraging me. He actually got me some additional help from Microsoft, and we just started tinkering and playing and building. And for us, our first rollout of what does that low-cost device look like, to us, it was like, let's make what makes a Chromebook great, which was just Google, here's a web browser, and it goes fast. We felt like we could do the exact same thing with a Microsoft device, but now only we have this web browser that's going, but because it's Windows based, I now also have the ability to push testing platforms, and I don't have to worry about like, how do I get this testing platform out, or what if they don't support the web? And we were also able to stick with Office, and we even left the installed Office. We looked at doing just the Office through the web, but we found that we could still use Word, PowerPoint, Excel, OneNote. They were great, even on these small devices. And that's really where we got our start with these. And we started rolling these out just like most of you probably did. It was a pilot that went from 2 classrooms to 2 weeks later, they said, we want you to do the entire school. So we did an entire middle school, and we weren't done with that middle school with 2 techs, just me and another guy, before they said, we want you to do all middle schools, 14 schools. And it wasn't a year later, and they were saying this is going to be our standard for student devices. All right, so let's talk about our environment. So everyone's a little bit different. And at some points, I am going to pull up and show you my console and kind of keep you, we're obviously we're not going to go into the users area, but I want to talk about devices and catalogs and things. So where we are right now on our setup is we are not hybrid. We had that discussion. Microsoft even encouraged it, said, hey, let's go ahead and connect hybrid. But with that encouragement I got from the district, they said, don't worry about copying over old policies. They said, get out a group policy, quit trying to make Intune look like our AD and our GPOs. They said, start it from scratch. As we bump into problems, we will make the adjustments. So that's where we started. And so we used the various templates and built that through. And then Microsoft was great to give a settings catalog. So we migrated to that. And so we are currently still SCCM on about half of our devices. Today, the team I work with 2 other guys, we finished school number 27 of our 51 sites. Next week, we'll pick up another school, but we still have several schools left there SCCM, but also my SCCM hardware is from 2018. So we're to the point where I got to replace it, right? And I'm going to have to replace everything. So our plan was, do we want to spend that money on all that hardware and building this up, or could we go completely Intune? That was the challenge that was laid ahead of us about a year ago to speed up our process. And so that's what we did. So with that, kind of getting like, how do we get devices into Intune? So
wait, really quick, Matthew, I'm going to pause you for a second because I think this is great advice, right? First off, hats off, because you actually took the opportunity to reevaluate the way that your district had done things, and then you evaluated and assessed, okay, what are we doing? Why are we doing what we need to do in the future? And you kind of made that cut over. So I applaud you for that. But number 2, for everyone else in the audience, this is great even for right now, right? We're on the cusp of Windows 10 end of service. Windows 11 24 H2 just came out. So as you're looking to migrate to Windows 11, it's another opportunity for you to look at, can we go cloud native like Rutherford County did? And then for you to even assess your policies and GPOs and legacy mindset a little bit and say, what do we need to do for the future? What makes the most sense for us? And kind of shift that thinking forward, right? So so just that's a great plug right there. And I just want to take the opportunity because now is another great time for customers to start thinking about that. So great job, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely. So we are old enough in Intune, we kind of are split, and you see that. So I'm actually going to talk about student devices first. So one of the challenges we were issued was we want a device complete when we hand it to the students, meaning we want it OS loaded, provisioned into Intune, and when they sign in, that device is 100% ready to go. So how we did that is we used Windows Configuration Designer, WCD, and we made a package. So we used that package to gut out the built-in apps that we're not interested in having on student devices, as well as we set up a couple of custom scripts to go ahead and throw Microsoft 365 on there. We do throw in a couple of other essential apps, and we take the time to do things like update Microsoft Edge. So even if you grab, I haven't seen the 24H2, but like I've got the August patch of 23H2, and it's still, Edge is always out of date. So we go ahead and patch Edge, and we patch Office to the latest monthly, enroll it into Intune, and the device is ready to go. With that USB load, even on a low power device, we are clocking that at around 30 minutes from I put in a USB drive, boot off the drive, and we have a tech come back 30 minutes later, sign into it to make sure everything's good, and that machine's 100% ready to go. So now obviously we scale that. We've built our own little custom shop area, and we literally just have 2 technicians that open up PCs, put them on the shelf, plug in a USB, boot off of it, and they keep going down the row. So they're doing about 60 at a time, and by the time they can get, like, each one doing 30, by the time they get the number 30 booted, they're just about back to number 1 for signing in. So it allows us a pretty good efficiency on getting us a clean Windows OS load, a clean Office load, and then all cleaned up. Teachers are different. You know, teachers have all their stuff. They have all their files. We're using the SharePoint migration tool because we are still, our teachers who have not been converted are still on network shares. So they're still leveraging what we call a home directory, which is mapped to an H drive. And so during this process, we're using the SharePoint migration tool, moving them to OneDrive. And then we're leveraging SCCM to push out the autopilot hardware hash capture. So we're capturing the group tag, we're getting it ready. So when the team comes in, we also have a USB drive built specifically for that unit. We just step in, boot off of it. Of course, the teacher machine's more powered, and usually we have Windows on the machine in about 15 minutes. Sign in for them and finish up the machine. And what we do, so that was kind of a challenge, right, is I don't know about your districts, but I have dozens of different models throughout the year. Now, fortunately, the Windows 11 cut helped me trim the herd on some of that, but we still have quite a few models to manage. So with that, we have built this tool. Let me reline. Actually, let's do this. We built just a PowerShell tool, and this is the tool that we use to build our drives. A technician can put a drive in. We actually have a network share with all the drivers and stuff, but that can take time. So they can actually pull their drivers down. They can change what drivers are on the USB. They can change the school package. And I'll mention this later. We are moving away from packages and moving directly for enrollment, but moving directly to autopilot on all devices as our vendors are helping us with that now. We can change model. They can see if a model's available, if it's new. But that way, once you have drives built, we ask our technicians to refresh every 6 months. Once they have that drive, then they're ready to go. If it's the wrong model, it takes about 10 minutes max, usually closer to 5 if they have it local, to change it and have it ready for the next model. We have all the auto unattend files corrected. We have all the little ins and outs that you could think of. Packages, parts, and pieces are all patched through this. So, because our goal was for our site techs to simply be able to click, use, and have a drive ready. Let's see, I think I hit all of that, and I don't see any questions, so I'm going to keep on keeping on. All right, so let's actually get inside of Intune itself.
Actually, I did have one question for you, Matt. So yes. On the USB builds, I know that you were using the auto unattend XML method that we had originally. You showed
it to me a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, and so we migrated away from that to the FFU method. Mm-hmm. Did you ever try that out?
I have not tried that at all, but I would be very interested in looking at that with you. At this point, I've finished the year and then take a look, or not even maybe finish the year. If we can get me up and running, I would be glad to always try something new.
Yeah, because if you're saying that it takes about 30 minutes, and that's with a provisioning package,
That's provisioning Office, Windows, drivers, all together so that the machine's up to date and ready to go.
Yeah, because if it's taking you 30 minutes, we could probably get that down to like five minutes.
And that would be amazing. So, yep. So I would be interested. I'll shoot you an email and see if you can help me along with that. So,
and there's a couple of questions in the chat for you as well, Matt.
Okay.
First, are your staff devices hybrid or cloud native?
So, everything is cloud native as we're migrating. Currently, we have on-prem devices that we are converting, but once they're converted, they are all cloud native. Our goal is to remove devices other than some legacy servers out of Active Directory once we're complete. Users will maintain Active Directory at this time, but devices will all be managed purely by Intune. So I see you have a question about devices being one-to-one. We are one-to-one at the high school level. We are trying to be one-to-one at middle school, but we're, budget, it is a goal. And at elementary, we are our ratio is closer to 2-to-1. So you guys are getting me excited about trying FFU and speeding things up. That's awesome. Because that's like today there's 3 technicians and we were each doing 7 devices at the same time because leveraging scripts, migration and all that. So, but it's a lot to stare at 7 devices for 30 minutes, get them back, hand them, and then go to the next group so anything that could give my brain a break would be cool.
Awesome.
Yes, I would actually be interested in that, Garrett. So I think I'm going to be on the losing side, but it would still be fun to watch the challenge. And go through that. That could be a good testimony. All right, so inside our Intune, I'm going to hop in and I'm going to talk about our settings because, essentially what makes good Intune. That's compliance, which I'm actually having to redo mine completely. That's your settings. So for me, right now, we use a mix of admin templates and settings catalogs. And of course, it's your applications, and then the other pieces like, hey, what scripts do we need? What remediations do we need? If you haven't invested in remediations yet, man, that is such a powerful tool. That's actually how I'm driving Dell Command Update now, is triggering it through remediation. So I know that devices keep getting patched with the Dell drivers. We've migrated to Windows Update for Business. We have the machines talking on our local LAN, so not everything's going out to the internet, and that's been helpful for our bandwidth at night. And then how do we assign devices? But let's hop over there. There we go. All right, so what you guys are seeing are my configurations and my crazy naming schemes. The first thing you'll notice up top is I've got a whole lot of old kiosk machines that were Windows 10 that are heading out to pasture. We don't delete until we're done with devices. So when one of us puts the obsolete tag on a configuration, that just lets us know that it is getting out. It's time for it to go, but it's still in process, so don't delete it. For Rutherford County, our goal is to be 100% Windows 11 by end of May. Our school year ends at the end of May, and the goal is we're completely converted. So one thing you will probably, let's scroll down to catalogs, and then if I need to move somewhere else, you guys can ask. So that is all of our catalogs for the entire district. So when I looked at GPOs we had, and everyone does GPOs different, there was a GPO for everything. There was a GPO for a firewall for this specific person. There was a firewall for someone else. There was a GPO for this setting, for this wallpaper, for this school only. You get it, so on and so forth. There were so many, and it was difficult to look at, which was why we started that rebuild. The first thing we talked about was having one master catalog. Now, it's actually been broken into 3 pieces just because some of you may experience that if you have a Windows 10 setting pushed towards a Windows 11 device, you'll see an error in Intune. It doesn't harm the machine, but it just keeps building up errors, so on and so forth. So we split out those Windows 10 and 11 specific settings. And once we retire 10, this will all move into this master catalog here. So all student devices share a catalog. We try to get to what are the most common piece settings and pull them from there. And of course, this is like anything else, a constant revision and adding and adjustments. But again, typically we didn't go through and we didn't say we've got to set every setting that we ever had. Instead, we left as many settings open as we could and then continued to figure out where did we need to make adjustments, what changes did we need to make to protect students, to improve performance, pieces like that. So if it affects the student, it's typically going to be in the student device master catalog. So that way, we're not bumping into conflicts of, okay, where's this setting, or a technician makes an adjustment. Sometimes we get some naming problems, which pulls a machine into a dynamic group, something else we're trying to work away from so that we can minimize those numbers. So one of the other things, you guys are probably already there, one of the best, I will say it's actually been great this year. So we don't allow personal devices on our network other than a guest pass, and we don't allow our students access to our network to make sure that we're maintaining bandwidth, all of that stuff. So we moved to device-based Wi-Fi. So you have to have the certificate, it talks to a SCEP server, and then it signs on, which keeps our students from cracking a password and getting on the system. If you haven't done that, Intune makes that easy. We are still on-prem with that, but we are looking at the cloud solution as we migrate that forward. But that has been one of our cool pieces. And then this is actually a holdover. Go ahead.
Actually, Matt, yeah, so question on the Wi-Fi. So prior to moving to a device-based cert, were you guys leveraging MS Chat v2 with username and password wireless?
Yes. So...
And you also had Radius set up, I would assume? Okay.
Yes, correct. Yes. So, and what was getting us is we have an Internet of Things Wi-Fi that's out there, and the kids, of course, would find the password, and then we would go from, say, 2,000 devices in a school building to all of a sudden we had 4,000 devices going, and it was starting to cause some struggle. So we've made some with our other partners, Cisco and Aruba, and actually Aruba on that, and made some adjustments so that those students aren't getting in. Let's see. If you guys aren't, I believe you had someone earlier asking in chat, Garrett, about like, hey, how do we block the TikTok app? If you guys haven't taken a look at App Blocker, it's another way you can get in there and block some of your applications. We every once in a while will have students that will bring an application in that sneaks in, and we leverage App Blocker and then through a CSP to custom deny those apps. We do that for a lot of, I'm not going to name them by name, but some of the junkier browsers that cause problems on our network. We will put that VPN clients that aren't our VPN clients through that CSP. Plus, Microsoft was nice enough when you build this, or at least when I opened up my tenant, they already had one set up for me to block regedit, PowerShell, command prompt. So all of that was built in. So that is a powerful tool in Intune where your admin level folks can still get it, such as your technicians, but your standard users are less likely to hack your systems. In the chat, is there any questions about our configurations or anything that you're curious about, like how we build or do?
I'm curious how complex your RBAC is.
Okay, so that's actually a couple of slides down, but we can jump on that. So we are working through that. So obviously we don't want to make everyone a global admin, right? So we are right now, we've got a couple of global admins. We've made a select set of our techs Intune admins so that they can make like my trusted partners so they can make adjustments. But then we're using some custom settings for like password resets because we leverage our intra console or Intune console for password resets, but that's not necessarily where we want to send a teacher. We don't even really want to send a teacher to admin.microsoft.com to do our, manage our students in the cloud. So we do have several. We're building more. We're building levels where you can reset a password or you can see if a student is blocked. I don't know if that's a challenge for others, but we use a lot of conditional access to keep other countries out. I have an impressive list of VPNs where we have been a student account compromised, and then we get phished like an east-west phish inside of our district, and we have to clean it up. And so those pieces, but they keep trying, they keep blocking the students, or causing the student account to be blocked. So we have to do we have to do these setups to where we can clear blocks and pieces like that. So like this is one of my colleagues made this little password reset utility. So, and it's going to prompt me to sign in. I should not have done that. I'm going to just park that for now. But we do build tools and leverage the tools through RBAC so that we can handle all of that internally. But yes, it's if you shoot me an email, I can kind of give you like all of our layouts of different ones that we're working on and we're plotting to work on. So even a teacher level can assist students with some password resets, trusted teachers. So you asked about labs. I have set up labs, not here, but helping someone else, but it is not something we are using at this moment. So we are in it, but it is being discussed. We do use the account protection policies. And so here's how that lays out. Our site technicians, if they log in as themselves, have administrator privilege. And I currently, I will say that it was against my recommendation that the primary user of a staff device has admin privileges. My preference would have been driving it all through company portal, but those are our two sets of admins at this time, is our first user on the staff device and our site technicians. So we're doing that through account protection policies. Every once in a while, we'll have like a career technical education or a STEM teacher who needs it. So we'll limit it to a small group. Like, this is your classroom computers. You have admin privilege. If you blow them up, we'll reload Windows on them. But we don't give them blanket to our entire building or district. So, but that's a good question. I'm gonna pull back my little pacing slide here. So let's talk company portal. If I'm sure you guys are using it, or if you haven't, it's awesome. So in a world where everyone's got a smartphone, right, and they're all used to an app store, it has really helped us eliminate work orders. How many times do you get a work order because it's a ticket because they got a new document camera? The document camera came in, went straight to the teacher, and they want the software. And so now your site tech has a ticket. So you get that software inside a company portal, you're taken care of. Testing platforms are the same way. We get a new testing platform, we get an update. Sometimes we'll make those required, but sometimes we want to push those all out. We have a unique challenge in that we have a vendor for secure testing, we are not a customer of a certain secure testing platform, but we have 4 different partners that are. Each partner is using that app, but each app has to be installed separately for that. There's no way to do this like mass configuration that just says we're using this one product. So it has to come on and off sometimes for some of our students. So we allow our students to also have some access to company portal and install apps. Obviously, with our students, we try to keep that pretty limited, but that's a pretty big piece for us on time saving. If you haven't enabled your end users to have access to company portal, it's pretty enticing. So it's been great, especially with that fact that it's off premise as well. For some reason, even if they're at home and they need access to something, they can still install that software. How am I doing on time? I am behind on time. All right, we already kind of hit RBAC, again, conditional access. We do use the Intune console and Intra both for our troubleshooting. So we don't do a lot in AD, but if you guys haven't looked through, and I'm not going to open up my student accounts to do that for privacy reasons, but Intune is a great place to use audits and sign-ins. You can find quite a bit of data about where's the student, what device they're on, what's going on, all through just users and then the audit and the sign-in tool. If you haven't dug into that yet, they are great. They've helped us a lot. They even help us troubleshoot. Sometimes a student won't lock a computer and they walk away, and we've been able to look at the sign-ins around to see, well, who really was on that device. All right, so let's talk about what we let go. So that's a big part of moving forward, right, is letting go of things. So we still have some map network drives, and myself and the team I work with are working diligently to get all those onto SharePoint, or Teams. So we find that what a lot of folks like, especially our seasoned veteran teachers who are used to a map drive, is we simply will sync the SharePoint site or the Teams site right here. And this gives them that same feel, just like if they were using the map drive. So, and I'm not going to sell you guys on SharePoint. You guys already know all of that. The next thing, and probably the thing that caused the most discussion in our district, like seriously, we talked about this for a while, is naming conventions and having to let go of naming conventions. I don't know about you, but when I started in 2001 with this district, the naming convention was school site dash room number dash was this a teacher, a student, or a lab dash, and if I had anything left, the part of the like metallic inventory tag that was stuck on the side of the computer was on every one of our machines. That's how things were named. And so we currently have changed that to just school initials dash serial number. I am in discussions with our district now to change that further to grade bands, because for us, every time I make a piece of software or make an adjustment, I have to find the schools and add every one of them. And there's not really that much difference other than my high school grade band, my middle school grade band, and then elementary split into like a pre-K through 2 and a 3 through 5. So I'm working on coming up with new standards that says like HS Stu dash or MS Stu dash, something like that. But it's tricky. And the other thing for me was, as the person who always built the image, I had everything patched. I had everything updated except Adobe Flash, because of those of you who were around for Adobe Flash knew it updated every 4 days. But beyond that, we always made sure that that I had everything there and everything patched, and I rebuilt the Gold Master image every month. Now all I do is I make sure I have the latest version of Windows every month. Every 6 months, I will go to my vendors and I'll make sure I patch drivers and I patch Office every month. I'll be excited to see if you can help me with some of that. But we've moved a lot of that to Company Portal now and made it install available, or even some of it required if we know it's going to be required, like testing platforms and for certain schools. And I think it's made a big difference. It makes our machines lighter. We're not loading it up full of bloat and icons, the things we always accused the vendor of doing. Now we're doing it to them. So it's been nice to see that change, at least for us, in moving the other direction. And lastly, these are kind of some of our next moves. So I'm back actually playing with WCD, just to figure out, like, I want to preload some Wi-Fi, like our onboarding Wi-Fi, and still do some patching, but I still want to use autopilots. I still want to have that out-of-box experience. I just want it to pre-add that stuff, because when you're doing dozens of computers a day, it's really nice not to have to type in the Wi-Fi password and hit next. So we're working on that. We are also, we're always looking at how can we do things faster and better. I'm in the midst of improving our compliance, moving up, creating some Windows 11 only compliance. Garrett, I think you mentioned it last week, mobile application management. I've been self-testing that on myself so far with some simple things, but it's got some great tools for our security, for some peace of mind for our users. So we are going to continue on that road. That's part of my next year's road plans. When you asked about RBAC, we are continuing to work with that. And then, as we said, we're looking at scripts, ways we can use Graph to just get things in teachers' hands, students' hands, to see how quick can we resolve our issues. And that is it. I tried to keep it, I think, yeah, we got there on time. Do you guys have any questions or?
I think there's one question I think that was posted to Q&A from Eric. He says, what types of USB drives are you using? He would assume that some are faster than others.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I went on a buying spree trying to buy all the fast ones. The Samsung Bar T, which is about $11, I think, and you can usually get for 7 or 8 if you buy them in bulk from your reseller. I get a 32 gig drive, plenty of space on that, and it is by far the fastest drive we've got, and longevity. We pretty much will expire a USB drive in a year on the conversion team because we kill drives. So from the constant reload, rewrite, use, heat, things like that.
And I think, oh, there was another question here from Saul. Interested in how you set up your proactive remediation to trigger Del command.
Yeah, so I can, so let's see, I've got, let me reshare. Let's go to, so we have a script. One, we push out Del command, which I was excited to see that Del is joining the partner platform. Where is the script? So we have basically a detection script that says, is Del here? And then we have it run the Del command update from command line, because Del command will let you run by command line. So this runs by command line, and it says, do I have updates? And if it does, then it bumps down and it reruns it again with the remediation and actually does it. Our detection is just Del command update, check for updates. It doesn't actually install them, it just says check for updates. If it does have updates, it turns around and it runs this. And then the user gets a little, it sits down there in the bottom right by toast, and it just says, Del command says, hey, I've installed some updates. You need to restart later or restart now. And that pretty much has been handling it for us.
I think that's it with the questions, and we're right on time.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys letting me do this. You've got my email address. I'm always glad to talk. And if you see something that I could do better, like FFU, I'm always excited to do things better for teachers and students. So again, thanks, guys.
Okay, based on the number of applause reactions I'm seeing, you'll definitely have to come back and present again. And the invitation is up for all of you. Again, similar to Matt, great job. We'd love to have you all come tell your story, share your experiences. That's what office hours is all about. So great job, Matt. Thanks for sharing your story. I also really quickly would be remiss if I didn't reach out and say our thoughts and prayers are those with families or loved ones that are affected by the flooding in the Carolinas or Florida area. So hopefully no one on this call has been affected directly by that, but if so, you know, your Microsoft team is here to support you and getting your schools back up. So let us know if you need something there. And we will see you all in 2 weeks to have Liz come talk about expanded device inventory. So thanks for joining. Great job, Matt.
All right.
Thanks
a lot, guys. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye.